Greetings, band geeks. This is Mr. Kexel, and in this video, I'm going to talk to you and teach you how to use Finale Notepad 2012. Finale Notepad is the computer app that we have on our school laptops that allows us to write music. It's not the only music notation program out there in the world, but it's the one we get to use, and the skills you use in it can transfer to a lot of other ones. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is open the app, and I'm going to go down to my Windows menu and scroll to Finale Notepad 2012. Click on it. Now, when you guys click on this for the first time, there's probably going to be a whole bunch of other screens that you have to click through, and I can explain what they are and do that. But eventually, you're going to get to this screen right here that says Document Setup Wizard. This is where we set up our piece of digital sheet music, as it were. Now, for our first assignment, I'm not going to have you write your own music. I'm just going to ask you guys to copy a piece of music into Finale Notepad from your book. And just to make it really easy for me right now, I decided I wanted to do number 18 in the book. So I'm just going to do number 18 in Accent and Achievement, and that is Claire de la Lune. And the composer is somebody French, I'm guessing. But I'm going to ask you, when you do this, to write your own name, because I would like to grade you. I do not have to grade the French person that wrote Claire de la Lune. I can only grade you. Underneath that, as you can see right here, there is a little section that you can basically decide on the size of the piece of sheet music. Basically, you can have it either vertical or horizontal. Just leave it the way it is. Just leave it alone. It's fine. So let's click Next. Now this screen, you have to add your instrument. Now you're going to be writing this for your own instrument. So on this side right over here, you can see all of the different families of instruments. There's woodwinds. When you click on woodwinds, you see all of the woodwind instruments. When you click on brass, you see all of the brass instruments. And there's actually different types of percussion. There's percussion, just percussion, drums, which is snare drum, bass drum, or drum set, or pitch percussion, which is timpani and mallets. I'm going to decide today to be a trumpet player, so I'm going to click brass. I'm going to click trumpet in B flat, because that's what we play in band. And then I'm going to click Add, and there you go. I've added an instrument. Now, just so you know, you can write for more than one instrument in Finale Notepad. It's kind of fun. We're going to be doing that next year, but most of the stuff we do this year is just going to be written out for one instrument. So there you go. We're set to go. Click Next. Now on this screen, you're going to choose the key signature, the time signature, and the number of measures. So that means you're going to have to take a really close look at the book. You're going to have to take a close look at Claire de Lune. What time signature is Claire de Lune? It's in 4/4 time, and just turns out the 4/4 time is already selected, so we're selecting that. Claire de la Lune actually is in the key of concert B flat, and that's for everybody. So I want everybody actually to go ahead and click 2 flats. Even if you don't have 2 flats in your key signature, just trust me on this one. And then the number of measures of Claire de Lune, I think there's only 8 measures in it. Now, Finale Notepad gives you 31 measures as just a default. Like that's the maximum that fit on, a page that looks good, I guess. But you can select 8 because that's all we need. If you forget that step, you can add and erase measures at the end of a piece, and if you do that, you're just probably going to have to flag me down because it's not in this video. So then we're going to click Finish, and in one fell swoop, we're going to create our piece of digital sheet music. Ready? And poof, there it is right there. Okay, so now we have 8 blank measures written out for trumpet. Notice that the 2 flats actually are not there, so we're actually in the correct key signature for trumpet. And now we should enter some notes. So let's do that. So right up here, there's a whole bunch of different buttons. This is called the palette up here. And there's a notes and rest palette right here. So these are all the different type of notes. These are all the different type of rests. And there's other kinds of things too, but let's start with notes. So the first note is a C for trumpet, and it's a quarter note. So we're going to click quarter note. And you notice there's actually already a quarter note on the page, but we're going to drag our cursor over here. And as soon as we get kind of close, we start seeing it turn into a quarter note. And that quarter note is a C, so it's below the staff, and it's right there. So we're going to go like this. And I don't know if you can hear that on your computer or not, but when I click that, it makes a little trumpet sound. So it tells you that you wrote a note. The next note is also a C, so we're going to move over, click that. The third note's also a C. And the next note is a D, like that. So there we go. The next note in the second measure, I think, is a half note. So we're going to go click half note. Come back down here. Now we have a half note. We're going to draw a half note. Now the next note is supposed to be, for trumpet, is supposed to be a D. And I'm going to write it wrong on purpose. Okay, I'm just going to put it up here just by mistake. Because I also want to show you how to change a note that you write if it's wrong. It's pretty easy to write the wrong liner space, especially when you're working with that little trackpad on your laptop. So if you write a note on a different liner space, it's actually super easy to fix. All you have to do is just use the arrow keys. And you can actually write, you can use the up arrow keys and the down arrow keys and just basically put it exactly where you need it to go. As long as it's a half note and is supposed to be a half note, then you're good to go. Another way to do it is to use this little eraser. This is a little old-fashioned chalkboard eraser. You can click that. And then when you come down to the staff, you can see a little eraser. You don't put the eraser on the note, you actually put the arrow on the note. And then you can just click and erase the notes like this. And you notice that if I erase enough notes, it just turns back into a whole rest. And then you can rewrite the measure or whatever you want to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish this out. Okay. Next measure is all quarter notes, so I'm going to click quarter notes. Next measure starts with a half note. There. Now we also need a half rest too, so we need to go up here to the rest palette, right over here, and find what a whole half rest is. Now whole rest and half rest are right next to each other, and if you can't tell the difference, you can just hover your pointer over it, and it'll just tell you what it is. So that's the one. That's the half rest, and then we're just going to drag it in here, stick it right there, and we're going to write the rest of this out. You might have also noticed just a second ago that the number of measures on this first line changed. So as you're writing your piece of music, don't be surprised if the number of measures per line changes, because Finale Notepad just sort of changes that on the fly depending on how many notes per measure it is. Okay, there we go. And the last note, I believe, is the whole note. So we're going to click whole note right here. And then we're going to go like this, whole note. And you notice it also changes where the bar lines are located to sort of space things out correctly. Okay, another thing you can do is play it and test it. So there's right up here, there's some playback controls. And you can see there's a play button here. This button here takes you back to the very beginning. It's the rewind button. So let's just hit the play button and see what it sounds like. Yuppers, that totally sounds like Clear to Learn. Okay, so the next thing I want you to do, the last thing I'd like you to do, is to make sure to know how to write a dynamic level. One of the kind of rules of composition, rules of music writing that I'm going to insist on you doing is whenever you write a piece of music, you're going to have to tell whoever's playing it how loud to play it. So it's going to be important for you to write a dynamic level on the first note of the piece. At the very least, you can write more if you want, but you have to write one on the first measure at the least. So we're going to go up here to this button that says MF, which is of course mezzo forte, but it's what we call the expression tool. So we're going to click that button, and then we're going to come down to the first note here, and you notice it's got this little sort of weird up arrow. You just click anywhere near the note. Actually, you can double click. So you're going to go click, 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 and then as you can see, this whole little menu shows up, and it's got a whole bunch of different dynamics. In fact, it actually also has some tempo markings too, like allegro. Right now, we're just going to choose mezzo forte, and let's just do that, and then we're going to click select. And even though we clicked on the note, you know, where we clicked right on the note head, it actually puts it underneath the note where it should be, like that. And there you have it. So that's it. That's your assignment. You just input notes directly into Finale Notepad, change them if needed, erase them if needed, and put a dynamic level on it so people know how to loud or soft to play it. By the way, if you played it again, Finale Notepad will actually play it mezzo forte out of the computer speakers, which is pretty cool because it knows what that means. Okay, to finish up, you want to go up here and you want to click Save As, and then you're going to click Save As, and you're going to save it as your name, or you can write Claire de Lune and your name, and then I'm going to ask you to upload it onto Canvas. That's how we're going to turn in this particular assignment. Okay? All right, that is pretty much it for Finale Notepad assignment number 1. And thanks for watching, and good luck. See ya.